Chapter 2, Section 5. These are called literal equations. A literal equation is an equation that contains two or more variables. And that's something like 10x plus 5y equals 80. And you're asked to solve for y. Now, literal equations, when you're solving for y, your answer is going to have the other variable in it. All right? If you're solving for y here, you're going to subtract 10x first. Now, when you subtract 10x from this right side, bless you, I would get in the habit of putting whatever has a variable with it next to the equal sign. I'll show you what I mean. This 5y is going to drop down. The equal sign drops down. Now, 80 minus 10x. You can't subtract 10x from 80, can you? They're not like terms. So what you end up with is a minus 10x. And this 80 drops down and moves over a little bit. All right? And what kind of an 80 is it? Positive or negative? It's a positive 80. And now you divide everything in the equation by 5. So y is equal to negative 2x plus 80 divided by 5. That's 16. Anybody got a calculator? 16. Alright, so you've solved for y now, but your answer has the other variable in it, doesn't it? Problem 1 is what we just solved, but look what it started from. The equation 10x plus 5y equals 80, where x is the number of pizzas, and y is the number of sandwiches, models the problem in the solve it. How many sandwiches can you buy if you buy 3 pizzas, 6 pizzas? What they're saying, the solve it problem was you're ordering pizzas and sandwiches and you have a budget of $80. How many sandwiches can you buy if you buy 4 pizzas, 5 pizzas? Explain your answer. So that's how to set up a equation from a word problem. Now, let's see. If you buy 3 pizzas, how many sandwiches can you buy? And how could you figure that out? If you were going to buy 3 pizzas, how many sandwiches could you buy? What would you do here? You're going to buy 3 pizzas, and you're trying to find out how many sandwiches you can buy. You've only got $80. Could you plug the 3 in? Plug the 3 in, right? Plug the 3 in for the X. Good. And that would tell you how many sandwiches you could buy. Turn the page. Now we got all letters. AX plus B equals C. Solving for X. Alright, so you need to get X by itself on one side of the equation, don't you? So you're going to subtract B first. So AX equals C minus B. And then what? Divide by A, right? Divide everything by A. These two cancel, and X is going to equal C minus B over A. Questions? Sleepy? Yeah, me too. Try C equals 2 pi r. That's the formula for circumference. Let's solve for the radius. Any ideas how you could solve for the radius here? Get r by itself. What's being done to the radius? Is it being added or is it being multiplied? It's being multiplied, right? What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So divide each side by 2 pi. What happens to these over here? That cancels and that cancels. And C over 2 pi equals the radius. If area equals length times width, and you're asked to solve for the width, any volunteers? Divide each side by L. Good. These L's cancel, don't they? So the area divided by the length equals the width. Let's do the area of a triangle. Area of a triangle. Area equals 1/2 base times height. 1/2 base times height. Question is, what is the height of a triangle with area 24 and base 8? What would you do first here? Dan? Well, what about a fraction in front of the variable? Multiply each side by the reciprocal? Could you substitute first? Yes. Where the A is, what would you put? 24. Where the B is, what are you going to put? And there's one thing left. That's your H, isn't it? So does 24 equal, what's a half of 8? 4h. And divide by 4. So 6 equals h. Everybody all right with that? Or questions? Look at problem 4 on page 119. Distance. Distance equals rate times time. The monarch butterfly is the only butterfly that migrates annually north and south. Anybody know that? Good, good. The distance that a particular group of monarch butterflies travel is shown. It takes a typical butterfly about 120 days to travel one way. From Indiana to Mexico? Man, his shoulders would get tired, wouldn't they? 120 days of that. What is the average rate at which a butterfly travels in miles per day round to the nearest mile? Well, how far is it from Indiana to Mexico? 1,700 miles. So our distance is 1,700. And that equals our rate times our time. Our rate is what we're trying to find out, isn't it? What is the average rate? And what's the time? R times 120. So how are we going to solve for R? Divide by 120. And somebody with a calculator on their desk can figure that one out for me. 14. 14 what? Okay, but what? What does that mean? Miles per hour, days per month, minutes per second. 14 equals R. What's the rate we were trying to find? Well, didn't we divide days into miles? So isn't that 14? 14 what? Miles per day. And that was approximately because we rounded it, right? That's not real far, is it? Nah, 14 miles a day. But I guess if you're a little butterfly, that's pretty far. Indiana to Mexico as a butterfly. That's a long flight. Wow. Excuse me? Look at the look at the picture there. Page 119. It's up there north of Tennessee. It's west of Ohio. It's up by the Great Lakes. Yep, it's up there by Michigan, and it's up there. It's way up there. Any questions? All right, page 120.
I like that.
12 through 17. (25 through 29). Make sure that you guys, I was glancing at some of your quizzes, alright? Make sure that you finish every step of every problem, okay? Somebody, I was looking at their quiz, they had 16 equals 8t, and they didn't finish it, okay? That was the last thing I saw in their paper. And they chose their answer as 8 instead of what should it have been? 2. All right. Somebody had something like 16 equals 2t, and they didn't bother to do this, and they picked 2 as the answer. So it was like a silly mistake, or more like a careless mistake, that ended up being the difference between an A and a B. Okay? Don't let that happen to you. Finish every problem. All right? Show every step so you don't make those careless mistakes. And that starts with doing it in the homework and in the assignment that I give. Okay? Thanks. Appreciate it.